Hello everyone, I just want to give a quick update on where we are in the timeline as laid out to us in Revelation of Christ's return and the beast rising, which ultimately leads to Christ's return. Okay, so first and foremost, we know that the beast itself will have 7 heads, right? And it will be, there will be 7 the harlot is sitting on the beast that is 7 mountains, and those 7 mountains, including the state of Israel, will be the nations that Israel expands into. Okay, so right now the state of Israel is one of the heads of the beast, it's one of the heads of the beast, and the beast who was and is not, he himself is also the 8th and is out of the 7. So one of the heads of the beast becomes the actual beast itself, and that is the state of Israel, because the actual beast itself is the new kingdom of Israel when it's finished forming. The new kingdom of Israel, also known as the Greater Israel Area, or whatever they have it written down in plans now, it will be known as the new kingdom of Israel, because that's how Lucifer works. But when it's finished expanding to these different countries, which it'll expand into 5, because it says there's 5 fallen kings, right? So it'll expand into 5. The first one was Syria with Assad, and they're using a proxy. There's a group called HTS. Okay, they're the ones that took over. They're the ones that took out Assad and took over Syria, and they're now running the government there. They're the ones who the Canadian government gave $84 million to. Well, they're currently slaughtering Christians in Syria. Yes, believe it or not, Assad actually protected Christians. He protected them from ISIS. He protected them from other Islamic terrorist groups. He protected them from, so he protected Christians back when he was in charge of Syria. Well, now he's not there anymore, so the new group that's in charge of Syria, HTS, they're currently slaughtering Christians, okay? Now, Turkey, this is just giving a quick background. Turkey, which is a member of NATO, openly admitted that HTS was a proxy of NATO. They were being funded by NATO and by Israel, okay? So as soon as HTS took Syria, Israel started moving into Syria, saying that, we're doing this so the terrorists don't get a hold of any of the weapons and stuff like that. That's not true. HTS has gone out of the way to avoid attacking Israel, even though they're like a super jihadist Muslim group supposedly, but they're not attacking Israel, who's now moving into Syria, the country which they just took over. Well, HTS has now they actually apologized to Israel at one point because they fired at them one time. So now they've turned their sights. HTS has now turned their sights on Lebanon, and the Lebanese government says that they have actually infiltrated Lebanon. They're attacking from within Lebanon now, and Israel started bombing Lebanon again too. So Lebanon will be the next country to fall. Now the interesting thing is, so we know that Israel is one of the 7 heads of the beast, the state of Israel, and then eventually it'll become the kingdom of Israel, which is the beast, or as it says, the beast who was and is not, he himself is also the 8th and out of the 7 and goes into perdition. Okay. Now this is where we're starting to see more progress. Okay. So the next of the 5 fallen, right? And here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads of the beast are the 7 mountains where the woman sits. So that will be the 7 countries in total. Each of them will have a mountain. That's what the kingdom of Israel will be made up of. The state of Israel being the core. Okay. And our 7 kings, 5 have fallen. So 5 of the countries are going to fall. There are 5 countries that Israel's going to move into and take out, and they're going to become part of Israel, or the new kingdom of Israel. So 5 have fallen. 1 is, right, and that's Saudi Arabia, and the other has not yet come. So Saudi Arabia, in my opinion, because 1 is, it's an allied country. It's a country that doesn't get taken out by Israel, and it just joins in Israel. The reason why it doesn't join Israel, doesn't become part of them, but they're like allied with them. The reason why I now believe, at first I said it might be Egypt, but the reason why I now believe it's Saudi Arabia is simply because Saudi Arabia is like super pro-Israel now. They're like against Palestine, they're against all these other places, and they're super pro-US, and they're looking for basically any excuse to take Yemen. So I think we're going to see Saudi Arabia take Yemen soon, or push into Yemen, just so that Israel and the States doesn't have to concentrate on it anymore. And Saudi Arabia has been looking for any excuse to go into Yemen and take it out. They'll say it's because of the Houthis, who are listed as a terrorist group, but in reality it's because they want Yemen. They want to make it part of their territory. Maybe they'll move into Oman afterwards, I don't know, but probably at the very least they're going to take out Yemen, which is what Saudi Arabia's wanted to do for a long time. Which, by the way, Canada actually supplies Saudi Arabia with armored vehicles, and they use it to kill Yemenis people all the time. So you can look that up. But yeah, so I think Saudi Arabia will be the nation that is, and isn't actually part of the 7, like totally. It's not one of the 5 fallen ones, so it's not one of the 5 that were taken by the kingdom of Israel, but it's allied to it. And then the one that has yet to come, and when he comes, he must remain only a short time. That's talking about the actual state of Israel, because at the time of the writing of this, the state of Israel didn't exist, the kingdom of Israel didn't exist, it was all owned by the Romans. So he's actually talking about the state of Israel there, and when the state of Israel comes and only stays for a short amount of time, it's because, well, the state of Israel was formed in 1947, 1948, right? And now that it's here, by the time the kingdom of Israel forms, which will be by the end of Trump's time in office, you'll have... it'll only have been around since 1948. So it stayed a short while, and then it turns into the kingdom of Israel, which is the beast. And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but receive authority as kings for 1 hour with the beast. So the 10 kings, this is the very interesting one. So the 10 kings, and in the original recording of the beast, I talk about it, but the 10 kings, in order for you to be a king, it has to be a kingdom. So this is actually like a province. It'll be an area within the kingdom of Israel, and it says it gives all of its, the beast gives, but receive authority as kings for 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and they give their power and authority to the beast. So it's like a group of provinces all together underneath the new kingdom of Israel. So what's very interesting about that is, the state of Israel, just their minister of defense, I think it was, or foreign, something like that. Anyways, they're sitting now, the state of Israel, and they're planning on separating Syria into provinces. So if you needed any more proof that Israel took out Syria and that they now own Syria, or most of Syria, because Turkey and Israel are like vying for it. But if you need any more proof, Israel's literally talking to the international community right now about separating Syria into provinces. So, yeah, my prediction of the 10 provinces, the 10 horns, the 10 diadems, being 10 governors of 10 provinces within the kingdom of Israel, the new kingdom of Israel, is accurate, it would seem, because they've already started separating it. I thought they would wait till it was all complete and they'd taken every nation, but it turns out they're going to start separating them into districts, provinces, regions now. So we'll see how many provinces Syria becomes. It should happen within the next year or so, but that'll be the first indication. So we'll see how many provinces Syria ends up being broken up into. HTS and Israel are now pushing into Lebanon. It'll be the next of the 5 fallen kings. So we have 1 fallen king, and we have 2 heads of. So we have there's 7 heads in total. 2 of them exist. 1 being the state of Israel, which eventually becomes the beast, or the new kingdom of Israel, and 1 of them is Syria, which is one of the 5 fallen. So we have 4 more that need to fall, right? Which I am predicting will be Lebanon, Jordan, Iraq, and oh my goodness, Lebanon, Jordan, Iraq, and part of Egypt to the Nile. That's where I was going with that. Iraq's already been put their military on standby as well. Now, so that's biblical, who everyone is and stuff like that, which we've already talked about. But I want to talk about more what we're seeing now in tactics wise, okay, and how it pertains and how it will push everything along. And I'm just going to hit this from like my personal expertise, being working tactical intelligence with the military, and human intelligence a little bit, just my time overseas, all that stuff, whatever you want to, expertise you want to take, all that stuff. But okay, so right now the States has really focused on Iran. Okay, so and Iran is like the big bad in the Middle East, right? So the States has moved a large amount of high-powered weaponry, including stealth jets, stealth fighters, and all that stuff, or stealth bombers and stealth fighters, to a small military base in the Indian Ocean called Diego Garcia. It's a joint United Kingdom and U.S. base, and from there they can reach out and touch anyone. So from there they can hit Iran, they can hit Yemen, they can hit China if they really want to. They can hit pretty much anyone. And Trump has basically told, the U.S. has basically told Iran, if you guys don't start having negotiations with us, we're basically gonna get violent. And Iran has said, we will not do any negotiations with you. Okay, so if the U.S. starts bombing Iran, okay, and starts a war with Iran, which wouldn't, well, Iran's not a schlump. Okay, they're not this weak entity that everyone tries to make them out to be. The problem with the States and pretty much the Western world is we're all super arrogant and we think we're king of everything. We think because we haven't actually had a peer-to-peer war in a long time, so we think we can just take out anybody, right? Now the thing is, like, okay, let's look at Ukraine. So Ukrainians were trained by Western military and they got absolutely slaughtered by the Russians. Doesn't matter what the news tells you, they were getting pounded by the Russians, like brutally pounded. Okay, and there might be arguments. You go, oh, the Russia moves so slow, and okay, you don't know anything about warfare. Then, hate to break it to you. Okay, but so Iran's not some schlump. Okay, they also were reinforced by Russia. I don't know if you guys remember, but Israel attempted to attack Iran, and the mainstream media all said, "Oh, Israel, they hit Iran," and so the only one missile actually got through because Iran's got the Russian air defense system now. Russia sold it to them. So only one of their rockets, one of Israel's rockets, actually got through. And I'm pretty sure it didn't even hit anything important, but they all declared it a victory. Both sides did. Iran's like, look how good our defense is. Israel said, look how good our rockets are. Russia just said, cool, thanks for the money. Anyways, it's a big mess. If the States schwacks Iran, then that basically will, because as it is, Israel's moving at their own, doing whatever they want to do. They just hit Iran again. Israel's doing whatever they want to do. So like, if the U.S. schwacks Iran, it opens up all the Middle East for Israel completely. There isn't a single country besides Saudi Arabia that can step to them, and Saudi Arabia wants to be friends with Israel. They have a kinship because they believe they're directly descended from Ishmael, which is the son of Abraham, his illegitimate son, right? So they believe they're descended from Ishmael, so they're cousins with the Hebrews. Well, most of the people in Israel aren't Hebraic, but that's besides the point. So Saudi Arabia is going to take Yemen, and they're going to stand on their own, and they'll be allied to Israel, and they'll probably assist them with taking stuff. Now the reason why, because everyone always says, well, how's the beast able to rise? And the Bible says God's going to basically allow the beast to rise, allow people to follow him and stuff. Well, it turns out the beast, aka the New Kingdom of Israel, which is currently just the state of Israel, is highly, highly, highly supported by the states. So it would make sense that, they would have all the backing and everything like that, and that the states is protected ultimately from their rise. Well, they're protected by an ocean, but also because they're arming and supplying them. And Donald Trump, the current president of the United States, has said that he highly supports Israel. He wants to remove everyone from Gaza, right? Gaza's not one of the countries, not one of the 7 fallen kings. Gaza's part of, I hate to break to everyone, but Gaza's part of Israel already. But he wants to remove everyone from Gaza, turn it to some sort of kind of resort thing. He also supports Syria being turned into provinces and Israel taking Syria. He also supports, and openly said he supports, the bombing in Lebanon, and he thinks that Israel should expand to where it should be, or where it was back in the day. So that's how Israel's going to do all of this. If you think that no one's going to let them do it, incorrect. They have the full backing of the Trump administration, the U.S. government. So there you go. Yeah, so that's that for now. So we have one fallen king. The second one's about to fall. Lebanon's getting hit right now. That will be the second fallen king. We have 2 heads of the beast have been formed already. That's the state of Israel, and that's Syria. Those are 2 of the heads of the beast. You could say Saudi Arabia also, but I think when Saudi Arabia takes Yemen, because I'm pretty sure Israel is going to back them on that. They're going to give them support and stuff, and that will be like the solidification of their alliedship, and Saudi Arabia becoming one of the heads of the beast. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. Watch and wait for Christ's return, as he tells us to. But at least now we have a timeline. We can track what's happening. So I'll give weekly updates about where we're at and what's going on. Watch. Lebanon will probably be the next to fall. But just keep watching. Israel's going to push to the Nile. Saudi Arabia might actually give Israel the Sinai Mountain, but I don't know. What we're also going to start seeing is, as Israel keeps expanding and they get involved with more and more wars and battles and so on and so forth, you're going to see the diaspora from North America, Europe. All these Ashkenazis are going to start returning to, or start going to, Israel to join in their military and join in the war effort. So Israel's population will grow. And then ultimately, the Hebrews will be forced to fight as well, and that's how their numbers will be lowered down to the 144,000. But we haven't hit that yet. But you will see that soon. You'll start seeing the diaspora of, for lack of better words, of Jews, Ashkenazi and Hebraic Hebrews from across the world coming back to join in. You're also seeing now Hebrews are being conscripted. I've talked about this. Hebrews are being conscripted now, when before they weren't forced into military service, but now they are being forced into military service. That'll get their numbers down, because eventually there'll be 12,000 from every tribe, 144,000 in total, and they get swallowed up by Mount Sinai. Or Mount of Olives. I can't remember. One of the mountains there. They get swallowed up when Christ comes down. Just a quick overview. The whole reason why they don't really talk about this in Revelation, but the whole reason why 200 million people descend on Jerusalem, an army of 200 million, is because of the beast. Jerusalem is the capital of the beast. The 200 million descend to stop it because the beast has literally been, aka the new kingdom of Israel, has literally been slaughtering Christians and just going off, just killing everyone. So the 200 million descend to stop it, and they're descending on Jerusalem because Jerusalem is the capital of the kingdom of Israel. It's the capital of the beast. It's where the two witnesses will come, and they will tell everyone that Christ is coming, and then the beast will kill them for it, and ultimately that will trigger the 200 million. So the first 3.5 years of tribulation will be the two witnesses walking through the streets of Jerusalem, telling everyone Christ is coming, Christ is coming. The beast kills them because it can't handle the truth. So Israel, the kingdom of Israel, will kill those two witnesses, and then that's eventually what triggers the world to be like, yo, like, this is not right. So the next 3.5 years is them fighting back against the beast, and then the 200 million descend, and then Christ comes down and stops it. And yeah, him speaking fire and killing millions of people, or like stopping this war, is synonymous with the sun's supposed to do a big flash and fry a bunch of stuff on Earth. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, quick rehash where we're at. Syria, the first of the five fallen kings, is down. Lebanon will be next. They're starting to push in there. Israel says they're not going to stop. Netanyahu has said he's not going to stop. They've all said they're not going to stop. They're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Israel has massive amounts of influence around the world. Right now, if you speak ill of them or of modern Judaism, you're considered anti-Semitic. You're basically told you're a piece of crap. You're ostracized. That's not to support what the whole Islam jihadist attitude. What they don't seem to understand is this whole go out in the streets, protest for Palestine, set things on fire, do all that stuff. You're actually turning people to support the beast more. Believe it or not. If you just went and videotaped or allowed and showed the atrocities instead of committing some yourself, right? See, the thing about Christ was he never, even when he was struck or he was beaten or whatever, he just turned the other cheek. He didn't fight back, right? He didn't sink to the same levels as the people that were attacking him, right? There's only 2 times where he really condones violence, and he doesn't really condone it. The first time is because people are making a mockery of God's house. They're selling prostitutes and stuff in it. So he booted them out and beat them with like whips. And the second time is if you hurt children, then you should kill yourself, is what he says. So, or if you stumble children, you should kill yourself. It's better for you than it will be in Judgment Day. So this whole people coming out in the streets, causing violence, causing hatred, doing all this stuff, all this crazy stuff, you're actually pushing more people towards the beast, which is ultimately the state of Israel, which will be the kingdom of Israel. But you're pushing more people to support it, right? Which is insane, because they're bombing children, they're killing innocent people, they're killing journalists, and if it was any other nation, people would be losing it. But it's Israel, so for some reason it's acceptable, I guess. I don't know, which is insanity. But the fact of the matter is, the state of Israel is the most anti-Christ entity that exists. They created an entire country based off the fact that Christ doesn't exist. So whether you want to admit it or not, secular Christianity has worked really hard. Lucifer, through secular Christianity, has worked really hard to convince us that we're not supposed to speak ill of Israel and we're supposed to support them in everything they do because that's what Christ wills or whatever. But that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because their Messiah that they're claiming will be coming back is the false prophet and is not Christ. They don't even believe Christ exists. They refer to him as the son of the prostitute. Like, it's literally a country that is just anti-Christ. They beat Christians in the street. They spit on them. They burn their holy places. They won't even let you get buried with a cross on your tombstone in Israel. Not that I condone the whole cross thing, because it's actually an engraven image, which Christ speaks against. But that's what I'm pointing out, though, is like, anyways. And they've already started. The lamb will be attacked and followers will be attacked. Has already started, so. But that's the update for now. I will let you. I'll let you know when more things happen. It's all very fast. Okay, so prepare yourselves, guys. Christ is coming very soon, and it is happening very fast. Right? I like to use the whole Trump administration as a gauge, simply because he's going to be the most supportive of all of this, and he's the one that's really pushing it through, so Israel can become the king, the new kingdom of Israel, or the beast. Right? Whether it's on purpose or not, I don't know. But God allows it to happen. It says very clearly he does. So here we are. Watch and wait. The Lord's coming. Okay. Amen.